What did I say my goal was? Her goal was?
2.
Okay. Okay. Now what you're seeing here, is that what I said? No, my weeks must have been off by
We added a couple weeks in.
So that's the actual rate of improvement. So you see how it automatically calculates this, and it did that based on the actual weeks on the calendar. So I don't feel too bad about being off. So what you will see here is that it tells you when you should be doing the assessments. So that's today. So now you see that her next assessment is on February 6th. May as well take this next step here. Oh, this would tell you the intervention you were doing. Come on. It's actually not what I was expecting. But this is important, but I'm not going to get into it. So, briefly, if they're not making progress, right, if their score is not going up, they're not meeting their goal, you need to change what you're doing. When you change what you're doing, you document it here. Okay, so and then it shows up on their graph of what you're doing differently. So, sorry, what I was hoping. So what I want to, somewhere, I'll click and it'll show up eventually. So this is our graph. We'll talk more about this later, but I want to show you the actual materials. I know I'm just clicking in the wrong place, sorry. So I'm going to go to downloads. This is good to know. So downloads, maybe it's after you enter a score, you can automatically download the assessment materials. What grade is she in?
6.
Okay. Now, all of, like as I described that study I was talking about, all of these are roughly the same, right? I mean, they're interchangeable, so to speak, but what is important is that you use a different one each time, right? So basically, when we did her goal setting, we already used 3 of these, right? And I promise you, within that schedule, it'll give you the ones you haven't used if you use it the whole time. So this is the assessment material. So I've talked about all this in the management system, but for this measure, this is the actual materials. This right here is what Jill would read. This is her sample, her reading sample, and there are procedures that you follow, but she would read for 1 minute. You would put a slash mark through any word she missed, count the total number she read, and subtract the one she missed. Okay? Makes it a little easier. This is the examiner sheet, and it tells you how many words are in each line, so you can count them up easier. You know, for little kids, it's not that big of a deal. So, you know, that's the actual assessment materials. Now, this is very, 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 very important. You have an ethical responsibility as educators, and especially as special educators, to know about the assessments you're doing, and you need to practice them. You should never, ever do an assessment without having practiced it and feel very confident with it. If this course covered like the Woodcock-Johnson, I would be more focused on that because it's more in depth and it's a broader assessment. These assessments are pretty straightforward, and I'm confident you can do them accurately with practice in a short amount of time. Every measure within AIMsWeb has an administration and scoring guide. Okay? And it's new, I see, which is kind of cool because that's probably the newness of it, but yeah, they're not looking too different. So, oh, look at that. Much shorter. So, as part, I'm going to pile on a little more reading for you. Once you get your AIMsWeb account, I want you to read this technical manual, because they're all very similar, and what you'll find in there is all the instructions that you need to do oral reading fluency. It's the most common, it's a good place to start. And here's where I found that. Once again, this is worth noting, folks. When you get an account, you're going to start at progress monitoring over. You're going to click on downloads, and you're probably only going to have a progress monitoring tab here, right? Then you will come to here. Here are the grade levels. Here's that administration and scoring guide. Remember, these are all different grade level materials. Okay. Questions? Comments? What I'm going to do